Miscellaneous A Tiny Tale. Making a good 3D platformer is really hard. You have to have good controls, decent camera, interesting environments, and fun objectives. And I'm happy to say that this game mostly checks off those boxes. The objectives I think were the biggest problem in this, and it does feel a bit bland in the beginning levels. It does pick up later in the game, which is odd. You would think you'd want to hook the player with interesting locales and things to do, but that's all backloaded. Now before I get started, I want to say this game was sent to me by the publisher. It's the first time I've ever been sent a game that didn't come out for a month. I actually had to ask them for advice on one of their levels because I couldn't finish a race and I also couldn't find an item. Once they explained what I was doing wrong, which was not jumping while running, it was easy enough. But you would think running a race, you would focus more on running and not jumping every 2 seconds. As for the item I couldn't find, I do think it was badly placed. It had a marker on it, but it looked like it was a background item. I would have made it way more distinct. I actually think this might be the best 3D platformer I've played this year. To give you context, I've only reviewed 2 others. I mean, I'm sure a certain Gorilla game is going to take the prize away, but they can soak in that praise right now. As for the other 2 games, KO was fun, but the story was nonsensical, and it was a buggy mess. Then there was the Abomination of Shawley Zoo of Wonders. That game was just terrible. I guess you could put the Plucky Squire on that list as well, but it really was only a 3D platformer occasionally. And that game was very repetitive and ran terribly on the Switch, and overall it was just okay. When I play those other games, I see everything that this game does right. It runs perfectly, the jumping controls were great, the camera was fine, and the levels were somewhat varied. Now the story is about Buddy and Bag Boy, who are small robots the size of a bug, who go on an adventure after hearing an explosion. The whole adventure is narrated by a fantastic voice actor, named Oliver Proslayer. Sorry if I said that wrong. He was great! His soothing voice makes you feel like you're hearing a bedtime story. Indie games like this often just do text on the screen when they're telling a story, but I love that they went the extra mile to narrate it. The levels that you explore are our world only told from a toy's perspective. It's basically what if Pikmin was a 3D platformer instead of a strategy game. The whole visual style feels like an off-brand Pixar movie. You know those things that you see in a bin of DVD movies and try to trick you into thinking it's another movie? The visuals did grow on me after a while, but it was never great. It was just okay, but the cutscenes were actually better. There were invisible walls everywhere they didn't want you to go, and in the later levels that felt very odd, as you should be able to climb up certain parts of it in order to get higher, but they stop you and they want you to do it the intended way. And just like every 3D platformer, I did try to break it. And I could get into minor places I shouldn't, but I was never able to break the level in any meaningful way. Now this game really leaned into cutscenes to tell the story. So much so, instead of doing a boss fight, they just showed us what would happen. It was very bizarre. Each level that you explore has a new gimmick in it, whether it be unclogging a drain, overthrowing a queen, or exploring a snow area because the refrigerator was left open. That was clever! However, their ideas were sometimes a bit annoying, like a huge desert which was easy to get turned around in, but worse yet, most of it was just there so you would clean it, and that's just busy work. There is trash and things to clean up along the way. They do give you an on-screen indicator to explain how far you are cleaning up the area. You're going to want to clean, since there are some quests where you're going to need to buy something in order to progress, and you can turn garbage into cash. And some of the levels were really tight on the currency in the area, so finding every piece of trash was essential if you wanted to complete the objective. In each level you have to find 8 out of the 10 cogs that are used in the gate in order to open up the next area. The biggest issue in this is the objectives were kinda dull. It normally came down to searching around and finding random objects that would be hidden for no other reason than you having to find it. Quite often you're going to find random things as you explore, and you won't know what they're used for, but they still prompt you to pick it up, which was good because at least they didn't make you backtrack to get an item you saw. There are 8 playable levels in it, and it does have a very slow start, but it picks up at about the 4th level, and it doesn't slow down until the very creative end. The 3rd act of this story was just bonkers, and really came out of nowhere. I found the tone shift jarring, but also very interesting. I'm not going to spoil it, but it was great and also very surprising. It really changed things up. The controls were easy enough, and your character has a jump, double jump, and hover, but there are quite a few cogs which require you to get perfect jumps. And then they'll have you backtrack to retry it. It was a bit annoying, but it did make me better at doing it, and by the end I was easily making those jumps. There are challenges in each level, which are like the areas in Super Mario Sunshine where they take away the water sprayer, and you have to platform around this small area. You're going to need to be an expert at this game in order to finish these, but they are completely optional. The music in this game is outstanding, and really bring out the emotions of the world, and really contributed to how much I really enjoyed the story. Miscellaneous A Tiny Tale was better than I expected. Visually it was okay. It had wonderful cutscenes with voice acting, narration, and even a song. wrong. The story was quite amusing at times, and I would be lying if I didn't say I smiled a few times at their jokes. Now this was a hard one to grade. A little behind the scenes, while I was playing this I started to give it like a 7.5, mainly because of the objectives that I didn't like. However, the story just kept getting better, and the level designs improved, and it was way more emotional than you would ever expect from a goofy 3D platformer. So my grade of this game just kept going up, to the point I would actually say it's worth a buy. The ending is unexpectedly really good. I do wish the objectives were more clear, and I also wish the beginning levels were just as good as the later ones. But once the story gets going, you will be hooked. So for that reason, I think it's worth a buy.